atom. O hidden light, shining in every creature. O hidden love, embracing all in oneness. May each who feels himself as one with thee know he is also one with every other. So, welcome back. And it gives me immense pleasure to have with us Professor C.A. Shinde, who is taking the study of this letter 111. Professor Shinde, as we know, is the international speaker and life member of the Theosophical Society. And he retired as the professor of zoology after a career which spanned 37 years. His continual services to Theosophical Society since 1975 is an inspiration for all of us. So I welcome Professor Shinde and request him to start the session today.
Thank you, Vibaji, for introducing. And also I thank to all who are attending this. And good evening to all of you. It is nice to know about the Mahatma letters and also try to understand what they want to convey to all of us. In the last time, we saw in the last PowerPoint, whatever we have shown, where a chela is deserted for a necromantic guru. Here, this necromantic guru, finally, if you are not become fit, rather, we all are imperfect, and those who are searching for truth, and if they are really ardent aspirants, even if you are not truth, even if you are crushed morally, their words are crushed morally by his own selfish rotting physically from diseases engendered by the animal gratification. He snatched with demon help. Behind him is a black memory of wasted chances and hellish success. Before him, fall of dark despair. So everybody is having such kind of position in some way when we travel by spiritual path. And therefore, necromantic guru is a guru. We must be careful and contented of ourselves, because we have already passed through many hurdles, life after life. And so we must be contented with our poor weapons. They call it chelas and lay chelas, the poor weapons in their hands. Because they are poor, because they are weak in strength, and therefore they have to be careful. That is what last time we discussed in the last slide. Now I want to go further, but before that I want to say, there are many people who are curious about the Mahatma letter. Some definitely like them to see in the archives. Physically, they want to visit and see the Mahatma letters in which they are preserved, rather than read and understand them. Some, rather very few are there who really value those letters. Now they are published and they are made public. And if you really read them, then you begin to value them. But I am sure TS members are definitely valuing these Mahatma letters. And therefore, we have taken for the study, or rather reading online together. And this will definitely help us to understand something when we try to understand together. So I now request Pradeep to focus the next slide. Are you able to focus that one?
Now it is, sir, available.
But I am disconnected. I can start my again connect.
Yes, no problem.
How to connect?
No, you are already there.
But here I am receiving something. I have only Gmails are coming with me. I'll go back and open again.
Okay, sir.
Yes. Yes, it came. So this is the slide we are reading now. Be satisfied, friend, with your delicate weapons. As I said, we are the weapons in their hands, but very delicate weapons. If not as lethal as the disc of Vishnu, they can break down many barriers if applied with power. So we have power, but we don't have the power of Sudarshan Chakra, God of Hindu. We don't have that kind of power, which we can break down many barriers if applied with our power. So our willpower is not that much powerful. And therefore, in that case, we are delicate weapons. The poor wretch in question confesses to a course of lies, breaches of faith, hatreds, tempting or misleading of others, injustices, calumnies, prejudices, false pretensions, etc., etc. So many things are there within us. We love our who are close to us. At the same time, we hate others who are not close to us. So this love and hate is there. We are tempted, we are misled, and we do injustice also many times unconsciously. We have prejudices and false pretense. This is our description on the path. So the risk, one who is wanted to become Chela, he has taken voluntarily this risk. Risk he voluntarily took, but he adds. Here assurance is given. Okay, you have taken risk, and with your willpower, you can add. If they had been good and kind as well as wise and powerful, they would have certainly prevented me from taking a task to which they knew I was unequal. So definitely they are behind us and they know our power, but it is our duty to use it. In a word, we who have gained our knowledge, because they are there behind. They had been good and kind as well as wise and powerful. They would have certainly prevented me from taking tasks to which they knew I was unequal. Even if I am weak, a delicate weapon, but I have given this opportunity to go ahead and giving all kind of help behind. So next slide, or before that, we can see this slide itself is very important. You can read the next slide and then I will give the explanation. Next slide, sir. So what they assure us, what power they are giving us, such as it is by the only practicable method. Master's practical method is, we have no right to hinder any fellow men from making the attempt, though we have the right to warn, and we do warn every candidate. So they don't interfere in our work. That even if they can, they can't dictate us, but they can advise. They have right to warn, and we do warn every candidate. That is what the master's practical method. We are expected to take upon our own heads the plenty of such interferences, or try to save ourselves from the same by making incompetents into adepts in spite of themselves. Because we did not do this, he is left to linger out a wretched existence as an animated poison bag. So how if you don't take risk and if you don't do the right efforts, then because we are already wretched with existence as an animated poison bag, full of mental, moral, and physical corruption. So this man has, in despair, turned from a heathen, an atheist, and a free thinker. So this is one example I will give you next. But this is what Master says. We must do the right efforts. Otherwise, there may be mistakes, but still, we should not left to linger those mistakes. To err is human. To be indifferent to the error is not human. We must be very careful. We should not be indifferent to our own errors. We must check them. So what hint Master wants to give in this part? One thing, we are delicate weapons. Delicate in the sense of qualifications. Several qualifications. So many of them, because of lack of qualification, failed. Almost, we don't have that superhuman strength. We don't have that kind of stamina which is required to achieve during probationary stage on this path of adeptship. We all are going to be an adept. This is the probationary path. On this probationary path, we must have this superhuman power. We can bring those hidden potentials. So during probationary stage, on the path to adeptship, much is said in the letters concerned with chelaship. The statement in the letter number 111 constitute the gravest warning on the subject, and so deserve our careful consideration. One wonders how this was received by those in the London Lodge who were eager for preferment, assuming Senate read the letter to the members as Gate had asked him to do. See, the letter number 111 and 112 came together, and Master Gate said, you can read this letter to the London Lodge members. And this is actually a memorandum letter. This is warning. So we must see how important it is. Now, next slide we go. Yes. Here in the last sentence, it says, how he turned from a heathen, an atheist and free thinker into a Christian, or rather a theist, and now humbly submits to him, an extra cosmical God for whom he has even discovered a local and to all delegates by him with lawful authority. So this example is very good example Master gives here. And this example is of his real name was Godlopin Mitford. Actually, many times I quote this person's event. He is known as the GM. GM is Godlopin Mitford. And he is the really very intellectual man. He was a chela, very intellectual man. And he is the author of Elixir of Life, on which Mahatma has already commented in letter number 49. This GM gives the glimpses how he suffered as a lay chela and what advises Senate to think well over article Chela and lay chelas published in July 1883 Theosophist. So this warning Master K.H. gives to the Senate. See about this GM, who was a first theist, very good in church. He was a priest. Then he became what we say, father. Again, he turned immediately atheist and became a free thinker. And then when he came in contact with H.P. Blavatsky, he was inspired by the theosophical literature. He became a theosophist and he became an author of Elixir of Life, very good article. Colonel Alcott also says about his. And he was very good theosophist also. Of course, he was a lay chela. And then all of a sudden, what happened to him? And immediately he left the theosophy. Then he became a Mohammedan. And again, he started studying the other things. So many events happened. And final result is he suicided. See what happens to a person who is really fully animated like this. It is really careful. One has to be. The Mahatma turns next expressing his pleasure that about how in the next slide we can see how some of the chelas become really the scientist. So this kind of, we can go to the next slide. Yes, what Master wants to convey us, chelas and lay chelas, he asks us to read the article, which is of 4 pages, written by HPB in Theosophy, which is published in Theosophy, July 1883. He says, a soul to show you what disaster may come upon the lay chela, who snatches at forbidden power before his moral nature is developed. So before we are morally fit, we will be punished if we treat the path. And therefore, to the point of fitness, we must exercise ourselves to become morally fit, you must think well over the article, Chelas and Le Chelas, which you will find in the supplement of the July Theosophies. So the great Mr. Crookes has placed one foot across the threshold for the sake of reading the society's paper. So here another example Master Cage gives of Mr. Crookes, who has crossed the thresh and he has come a step forward by reading the theosophical literature. He has done well and wisely, and really brave of him. Heretofore, he was bold enough to take a similar step and loyal enough to truth to disappoint his colleagues by making his facts public. One day, what wrong he did, he made it public. I want to say here how we can take these hints. Being a theosophist, we must say, we need to be self-aware. What is our position? Even if we are in the threshold. Self-awareness is nothing but understanding one's deeper self. Then our view must be changed. View needs to be a holistic, viewing life as a unified whole. And our compassion must be deep empathy, being one with the feeling of the others. And always try to acting in the present, which is mentioned being mindful. And it is then we move towards the transcendence. And then we must going beyond the ordinary to connect with our higher self. This hint needs to be taken. So, the great Mr. Crookes has placed one foot across the threshold for the sake of reading the society's papers. We have also read the theosophical literature and how we have understood ourselves that self-examination is essential, well and wisely done, and really brave of him. So these Crookes, next slide we can see what he has done with his intellect, with his skill, with his attitude, and with his proper wisdom.
Yes, sir, I read there.
Yeah, when he was reading his invaluable paper of smothered in the sections, and the whole Royal Society trying to cuff him down, metaphorically, if not actually, as its sister society in America did to that material, here he little thought how perfect a revenge karma had in store for him. See how they look at it. Whatever difficulties come, whatever insult come, whatever criticism come, they take it as the karmas, which is sanchit karma had in store for him. And we must go forward. Let him know that it is cornucopia. Cornucopia, let him know that its cornucopia is not yet emptied, and that Western science has still 3 additional states of matter to discover. Of course, this Cooper was searching, he was a scientist. Here it is remembered, cornucopia is a sanchit karma, or horn of plenty, symbol of abundance and nourishment. So whatever that sanchit karma is there, that is not bad. If we work out that karma, That gives us strength. And yes, he is doing that one. But Master says, as a scientist, Western scientist, he is doing that one. He is not becoming upset by the critics. And still, Master says, 3 additional states of matter to discover. But he should not wait for us to condense ourselves to the stethoscopic standard as his KT did. KT here is a king, is a name given to the materialized spirit. So standard as his KT did. So there is some materialized spirit is behind to such who are real seekers of truth. For we men are subject to laws of molecular affinity and polaric attraction, which that sweet simulacrum was, simulacrum means simile was not hampered with. So this is what, in the next slide, before that I want to say, this Cooper used his intellect always decide, because his intellect was deciding what to say to the criticizer. His skill was deciding how to say, and his attitude was deciding how much to say. And his wisdom decides whether to say or not. What he was discovering, whether it is to be disclosed or not immediately. Next slide, it explains. Sir, next slide. I am going hurriedly. We have no favorites, break no rules. If Mr. Crooks would penetrate arcana beyond the corridors, the tools of modern science have already excavated, let him try. He tried and found the radiometry, tried again and found the radiant matter. May try again and find the Kamarupa of matter, which is the 5th state. We now well familiar with all these layers of matter, Kama Manasa, Kama Rupa, all these we know. But that time, for the Cooper, it was all different. So the master says, penetrate arcana beyond the corridor. The tools of modern science have already excavated, let him try. He tried and found the radiometry, tried again and found the radiant matter. May try again and find the Kamarupa of matter. It's a 5th state. But to find its manasa, he would have to pledge himself stronger to secrecy than he seems inclined to. You know our motto, and that its practical application has erased the word impossible from the occultist vocabulary. So what he discovered, radiometry, which is a light mill, is a device intended by William Crookes that has set of vanes of mounted on spindle in a vacuum in a glass bulb. So this electric bulb, how it was invented and how the masters helped him to do and helped him to try and try again. That is what we have to remember, how he helped. So next slide. And if he wearies not of trying, he may discover that most noble of all facts, his true self. not only the Kama Rupa, he must investigate himself. What are the hidden powers? What are the different states of matter, states of consciousness, and noble of all facts, his true self. But he will have to penetrate many strata before he comes to it. And to begin with, let him rid himself of the Maya that any man living can set up claims upon adepts. He may create irresistible attractions and compel their attention, but they will be spiritual, not mental or intellectual. And this bit of advice applies and is directed to several British theosophists, and it may be well for them to know it. So to know thyself, know your true self is the hint here. And you are already surrounded by the Maya. And as we study, there are three great illusions which are surrounding us. We are not having yet crossed those Mayavic fields. That is, space as dimension is a Mayavic field. We are trying to break through this Mayavic field through our scientific experiments. We have another Mayavic wheel of time. Time as succession. And we have philosophy to break through this time as succession, which is a Mayavic wheel, and go have the vision of eternity. In the same self, to know our true self, self as separation is a Mayavic wheel, and the vision needs to be unity. Therefore, HPB advised us, always when you study theosophy or theosophical literature, have this idea of unity of all life behind your mind. So this is what they want to focus. Rather, they advise Senate. This bit of advice applies and is directed to several British theosophists, and it may be well for them to know it. Next slide. One minute. Huh? See, once separated from the common influence of society, nothing draws us to any outsider save his evolving spirituality. This is how a stage, when once you are crossed that threshold, nothing draws even to the masters to contact him. Then he may be a Bacon or an Aristotle in knowledge, and still not even make his current felt a feather's weight by us if his power is confined to the Manasa. Oh, see how they say, up till now, before crossing the threshold, we were very troublesome to the masters. But once a chela is past this threshold, then it becomes very light for them to handle. The feathers weight by us. They feel like a feathers weight by us if his power is confined to the Manasa. Again, this condition is there. We need to connect to that Manasa principle. The supreme energy resides in Buddhi, latent. And when wedded to Atman alone, it becomes active and irresistible. And when galvanized by the essence of Manasa, and when none of the draws of the latter commingles with that pure essence to weigh it down by its finite nature. So here again, the hint is clear. Even Madame Blavatsky in the diagram of meditation says clearly, when the practice is meditation, practice is mindfulness. So meditating on infinite space, infinite time, then what we see the reality, such as sensation, causation, personality, friends and foe, all that disappear. Now we see as the friends and foes as reality. Causation, personality, sensation, we see them as reality. But what we see, this reality is an illusion that disappears when we meditate on infinite space and time. That is what H.P. Blavatsky in the diagram of meditation makes us clear. So for aspirants, being aware of seeing clearly and to penetrate into the depth to see essence of all things is very, very important. As the outlook of a realized person is full of compassion and is full of with radiant love. So this is how the wise is said. What it is needed to remember, we do have divine intelligence, we do have divine love, we do have divine power, but these qualities which we have gifted during the course of individualization, those qualities should manifest as the 5 virtues. The number virtue, intelligence must manifest as accurate perception and correct expression without any falsehood and with full honesty and truthfulness. This is the first virtue, manifestation of intelligence. If we are really intelligent, then we are honest, we are truthful, and whatever we do, whatever we say precise and accurate, not boasting. Second virtue, as the divine love that manifests, his look becomes kind and non-injurious. He becomes completely generous and non-stealing. And finally, the divine power manifests as the moderation and non-excessiveness and consistency of aim, efforts, and non-laziness. So these are the qualifications which we study now. If we relate these qualifications to these, what masters want to give the hint, that will be helpful to understand how a teacher teaches a disciple with a great love. If he teaches with great love, and if a disciple is also tuned with him, then the understanding and enlightenment go hand in hand. Then he may become a beacon, they say. Then he may become a beacon or a Aristotle in knowledge, and still not even make his current felt feathers weight by us. But here we must remember, the master has himself used the word Manasa, Buddhi and Atma. Atma Buddhi Manasa is our higher self. And you must know your higher self. It is only, and then only you can be in tune with the essence of Manasa. What we earnest who are treading the path, remember is, there is a way, there is a path, there is a way to Atma, there is a way to Buddhi, there is a way to the Manasa principle, what Master wants to say. So there is a way to Atma through selfless service. There is a way to Buddhi through emotions or bhakti. And there is a way to Manasa, what Master wants to say here, is our using our intuitive faculty. This is what we must remember, what Master wants to say here. So meditation will also, rather will be necessary. If we are serious and not curious, then meditation is necessary. Because only through meditation we can find ourselves, we can search for our own selfishness, we can search for that which is elusive within us. If we are honest in finding that truth, not for our own satisfaction, but in order to be fit person, a fit, not a weak, poor instrument in the hands of the Master. But if our motivation is not pure, then it will be waste of time. So next slide, he explains about the Manasa principle. Manasa, pure and simple, is of a lower degree, and of the earthly. And so your greatest men count but as non-atheists, non-entities in the arena where greatness measured by the standard of spiritual development. When the ancient founders of your philosophical schools came east to acquire the lore of our predecessors, they filed no claims except the single one of a sincere and unselfish hunger for the truth. If any now aspire to found new schools of science and philosophy, the same plan will win if the seekers have in them the elements of success. So if we have elements of success within us, and the ancient founders of our philosophy, Hindu philosophy schools, or any other philosophical school, when they came to East, they found such great institutes like Nalanda Institute, etc., where there was no claims except the single one of the sincere and unselfish hunger for truth. Everybody was the seeker of the truth. And therefore, such new schools of science and philosophy, if we have that kind of plan, then that will win, if the seekers have in them the elements of this success. So the next slide. Yes, you are right about the Society for Psychic Research. Again, he mentions to Senate about the Society for Psychic Research, and its working is of a kind to tell upon public opinion by experimentally demonstrating the elementary phases of occult science. So, on one hand, we have to be a serious seeker of truth, and we should not criticize the inventions of these societies, psychic research, whatever they have done. They have seen the thought power, its speed, its color, its effect, with clairvoyant vision, and you know the miracles of HPB. All these are, yes, you are right about the Society for Psychic Research. Theosophical Society was for psychic research. Its work is of a kind to tell upon public opinion by experimentally demonstrating the elementary phases of occult science. And then in the next para it says, H.S. Alcott has been trying to convert each of the Indian branches into such a school of research, but the capacity for sustained independent study for knowledge's sake is lacking and must be developed. The success of the Society for Psychic Research will greatly aid in this direction, and we wish it well. So for such psychic research, even what occult chemistry research we see by C.W. Leadbeater, Lives of the Alchemy discovered by the Annie Besant and Leadbeater, all those, they were definitely helped by the masters. And why they did that during that time? Only because the public want experimentally demonstrated, not any blind belief as such. And they must show the elementary pages of occult science. Yes, there is nothing miracle. Everything has got a science. Even in the late 1800, HPB strongly criticized materialistic science, but predicted that with every new century, the door will be opened wider for the teachings of occult science. So in 21st century, we have, the door is open now. We can open our own door of intuition and get convinced how these laws of higher life are working. True enough, from the 19th onwards, new theories of regarding relativity, quantum physics, and cosmology, science are starting to parallel some of the secret doctrine teachings. So this is true. Psychic research is definitely required. So next slide. 3 more slides are there, then we finish. There is no reason why you should not attempt mesmeric cures by the help not of your locket, but the power of your own will. Without this latter, in energetic function, no locket will do much good. The hair in it is in itself but an accumulator of the energy of him who grew it, and can no more cure of itself than stored electricity can turn a wheel until liberated and conducted to the objective point. Set your will in motion. This is a very important statement. Set your will in motion, and you at once draw upon the person upon whose head it grew through the psychic current, whichever runs between himself and his served tress. There is no reason why you should not attempt mesmeric cures. So this mesmeric cure, this is now we know very well in present days. The pranic healing, all this seems to be mesmeric. Even the mesmerism, they definitely help. And this is all nothing but power of our own will. Not the power of locket, not the power of the hair, which has definitely magnetism, which has definitely accumulator of the energy of adapt, and he can grow it, but he must use his own will. Therefore, the master says, set your will in motion, and you at once draw upon the person upon whose head it. The hair, not the will, grew through the psychic current. So when we do this, we do have, everybody has got this power of healing. But that kind of psychic current needs to be produced between the one who is sending these currents and one who is receiving those. So they are not against for the mesmeric attempt for mesmeric cures. The next slide, to heal diseases, it is not indispensable. To heal diseases, it is not indispensable. However, desirable that the psychopathist should be absolutely pure. There are many in Europe and elsewhere who are not pure, and therefore, this to heal diseases is not indispensable. There is possible, you can heal the diseases. Willpower, human willpower is great. It is a spirit fire that comes from the solar plexus, spirit fire, and that can help you to heal. And that is what, there are many Europeans and elsewhere, they have this kind of healing powers. If the healing be done under the impulse of perfect benevolence, unmixed with any latent selfishness, the philanthropist sets up a current which runs like a fine thrill through the sixth condition of matter and is felt by him whom you summon to your help, if not at that moment engaged in some work which compels him to be repellent to all extraneous influence. This is regarding pranic healing. This is very nicely explained in the course of pranic healing, how this current help. So the next slide, the possessor of a lock of any adept's hair, again, he gives this. The possessor of a lock of any adept's hair is, of course, a decided advantage, as a better tempered sword is to the soldier in battle. But the measure of its actual help to the psychopathist will be in ratio with the degree of willpower he exists in himself and the degree of psychic purity in his motive. So you may be having this talisman, and you may be having a hair of a master which has magnetized one. That may help. But what is required is the degree of willpower that excites in himself and the degree of psychic purity in his motive. So motive is very important. Motive must be full of selfless love. Then only there's such kind of advantage one can get from this healing. The next sentence says, the talisman and his buddhi are in sympathy. So both hair, whatever in lock, or whatever instrument is given, which is magnetized, that and the buddhi need to be in sympathy. Now that you are at the center of modern Buddhistic exegesis. Exegesis means critical interpreters of the text. You are in the critical interpreters of the text in personal relation with some of the clever commentators from whom the holy devas deliver us I shall draw your attention to a few things which are really as discreditable to the perception of even non-initiates as they are misleading to the general public. So be careful, you are in this very intellectual interpreters. So to conclude or sum up, in this letter of 111, Cates clearly suggests that the scientist should further his discoveries by enduring to find the Kamarupa matter, its fifth state. KH then adds, but to find its Manasa, he would have to pledge himself stronger to secrecy than he seems inclined to. Later in the letter, the Mahatma mentioned the sixth condition of matter, presumably connected in some manner with buddhi. So the existence of matter is a fact. The existence of motion is another fact. And their self-existence and eternity to indestructibility is the third fact. So these three, matter, motion, and their indestructibility. So apparently Senate had asked at some time whether he could attempt some mesmeric cures, such as those Alcott was doing with considerable success. He must also have referred to possibility of doing. This is what, when AP Senate asked whether I can do the healing, etc. So there are many, even at the last stage, it is not easy to become a chela also. See how these letters and how this warning, how this memorandum helps us to treat the path, which is really very tough, I think. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to explain. I think I have finished in time or not. Yeah, it is. Oh, there is less time for the Marathi, Hindi. Vibhaji, you have
Yes,
given
thank you,
me,
sir.
you have
Thank you
given me
for
freedom to speak more. Thank you for you.
thank you, sir, for sharing your insight about this letter with us. And I now request Sister Meenakshi ji to give us the translation in Hindi.
नमस्ते सभी को, थैंक यू सर। आज हम लेटर नंबर 101 का अगला पार्ट ले रहे हैं। मास्टर कहते हैं कि आप अपने डेलिकेट वेपन से संतुष्ट रहे, जो विष्णु के चक्र जितने प्राणघातक नहीं है, फिर भी शक्ति के प्रयोग से वे कई अवरोधों को, बाधाओं को दूर कर सकते हैं। उस अभागे व्यक्ति ने झूठ, विश्वासघात, घृणा, दूसरों को भड़काना या गुमराह करना, अन्याय, निंदा, झूठी गवाही, झूठे दिखावे आदि को कबूल किया है। जोखिम उसने स्वेच्छा से ली। हमने अपना ज्ञान, जैसे कि यह है, एकमात्र सही तरीके से अर्जित किया है और हमें किसी भी साथी सदस्य को इसके प्रयास से रोकने का कोई अधिकार नहीं है। हालांकि हमें चेतावनी देने का अधिकार है और हम प्रत्येक कैंडिडेट को चेतावनी भी देते हैं। हमसे अपेक्षा की जाती है कि हम इस तरह के हस्तक्षेप का दंड अपने पर ले या अक्षम्य लोगों को उनके स्वयं के प्रयत्नों के सिवाय अडेप्ट्स बनाकर खुद को इससे बचाने की कोशिश करें। यह मनुष्य निराशा में एक विधर्मी, आस्तिक, एक से नास्तिक और फ्री थिंकर बन गया है और अब तथाकथित ईश्वर और उसके अनुयायियों के अधीन हो गया है। मैंने आपको इस विफल मनुष्य के दुर्दशा की एक झलक मात्र दी है, ताकि आपको यह दिखाया जा सके कि एक लेचेला पर क्या विपत्ति आ सकती है जो अपने नैतिक स्वभाव को निषिद्ध शक्तियों के प्रयोगों के लिए लायक होने से पहले उन्हें जबरन हासिल कर लेता है। आपको चेलाज और ले चेलाज के लेख पर अच्छी तरह से सोच विचार करना चाहिए, जो आपको जुलाई के थियोसॉफिस्ट के अंक में मिलेगा। आगे मास्टर कहते हैं कि पाश्चिमात्य विज्ञान को मैटर के 3 अतिरिक्त स्तरों की खोज करनी अभी बाकी है। यह आप मिस्टर क्रुक्स को बताए, जो कि थियोसॉफिकल सोसाइटी के सदस्य थे और एक वैज्ञानिक थे। महात्मा गण मॉलिक्यूलर एफिनिटी और पोलरिक अट्रैक्शन के नियमों के अधीन है। हमारे कोई पसंदीदा व्यक्ति नहीं होते हैं। हम नियमों को तोड़ते नहीं, उनका नियम भंग नहीं करते। आधुनिक विज्ञान के उपकरणों द्वारा खोजने से पहले यदि मिस्टर क्रुक्स गूढ़ रहस्य को भेदना चाहते हैं तो उन्हें प्रयास करने दें। उन्होंने प्रयास किया और रेडियोमीटर खोज निकाला, फिर प्रयास किया और रेडियंट मैटर की खोज की। वे फिर प्रयास करें और पदार्थ के काम रूप की खोज करें, जो पदार्थ की 5वीं स्थिति है। लेकिन इसके मनस को खोजने के लिए उन्हें जाहिर करने के बजाय स्वयं को गोपनीयता के लिए प्रतिबद्ध करना होगा। आपको हमारा मोटो पता है और इसके व्यावहारिक प्रयोग ने एक साधक की शब्दावली से असंभव शब्द को मिटा दिया। यदि मिस्टर क्रुक्स प्रयास करने से थकते न हो, तब उन्हें सबसे महान सत्य अपने आत्मन का बोध हो सकता है। लेकिन आत्मबोध होने से पूर्व उन्हें कई स्तरों को भेदना होगा। सर्वप्रथम उन्हें इस भ्रम से, माया से छुटकारा पाना होगा कि कोई भी मनुष्य सिद्ध पुरुषों पर दावा कर सकता है, अधिकार जमा कर सकता है। वे अप्रतिरोध्य आकर्षण उत्पन्न कर सकते हैं और महात्माओं का ध्यान आकर्षित कर सकते हैं, लेकिन वे आकर्षण आत्मिक रूप के हो, मानसिक या बौद्धिक रूप के नहीं। और यह सलाह कई ब्रिटिश थियोसॉफिस्ट्स पर लागू होती है और उन्हें निर्देशित की जाती है, और यह जानना उनके लिए अच्छा हो सकता है। एक बार सर्वसाधारण सामाजिक प्रभावों से विलग होने के बाद किसी भी इहलोकीय व्यक्ति की विकसित होती आध्यात्मिक उन्नति के अलावा हमारा ध्यान उसकी ओर आकर्षित नहीं हो सकता। वे चाहे बेकॉन या एरिस्टोटल जैसे ज्ञानी हो, और यदि उनकी शक्ति केवल मनस तक ही सीमित होती है, तब वे हमें तनिक मात्र भी प्रभावित नहीं कर सकते। सर्वोच्च ऊर्जा शक्ति बुद्धि तत्व में वास करती है, जब वह केवल आत्म तत्व से जुड़ी रहती है। सक्रिय और अप्रतिरोध्य तब होती है जब वह मनस के सार तत्व से प्रेरित होती है, और जब मनस की किसी भी प्रकार की अशुद्धि उस शुद्ध तत्व के सार के साथ मिलकर उसे उसके सीमितता से निम्न स्तर की ओर खींचती न हो। केवल सामान्य मनस निम्न स्तर का है और सांसारिकता की ओर होता है, और इसलिए आपके श्रेष्ठतम लोग उस क्षेत्र में सामान्य प्रतीत होते हैं जहां महानता को आध्यात्मिक विकास के स्तर पर मापा जाता है। जब आपके दार्शनिक स्कूलों के प्राचीन संस्थापक हमारे पूर्वजों की विद्या प्राप्त करने के लिए पूर्व में आए थे, तो सत्य के प्रति सच्ची और निस्वार्थपूर्ण एकमात्र चाहत के सिवाय उन्होंने कोई दावा नहीं किया, कोई मांग नहीं की। यदि साधकों में सफलता के तत्व है और यदि कोई अब विज्ञान और दर्शन के नए स्कूल स्थापित करने की आकांक्षा रखता हो, तो वही योजना सफल होगी। आप सोसाइटी फॉर साइकिक रिसर्च के बारे में सही कह रहे हैं। इसका कार्य एक तरह से गुह्य विद्या के प्राथमिक चरणों का प्रयोगात्मक प्रदर्शन करके जनता की राय बनाना है। एच.एस. ऑलकॉट थियोसॉफिकल सोसाइटी के प्रत्येक भारतीय शाखा को साइकिक रिसर्च के केंद्र में बदलने का प्रयास कर रहे हैं, लेकिन सभासदों में ज्ञान के लिए निरंतर स्वतंत्र रूप से अध्ययन करने की क्षमता का अभाव है और इसे विकसित किया जाना चाहिए। इस स्कूल की सफलता इस दिशा में बहुत सहायक होगी और हम इसके लिए शुभकामनाएं देते हैं। मास्टर कहते हैं कि आप मेस्मेरिज्म द्वारा उपचार करने का प्रयास कर सकते हैं, इसमें कोई शंका नहीं है, लेकिन अपने लॉकेट की मदद से नहीं, बल्कि आपकी इच्छा शक्ति के बल पर करें। इच्छा शक्ति की ऊर्जा शक्ति के बिना कोई भी लॉकेट ज्यादा उपयोगी नहीं होगा। लॉकेट में जिसके केश है वह उस व्यक्ति की ऊर्जा का संचायक है, और वे केश स्वतः किसी को ठीक नहीं कर सकते हैं। अपनी इच्छा शक्ति को कार्यान्वित करें और आप तुरंत उस व्यक्ति का लक्ष्य अपनी ओर आकर्षित करेंगे जिनके सिर पर वे केश उगे थे। यह उस व्यक्ति और उसके कटे हुए केश के बीच के साइकिक करंट के जरिए होता है, जो हमेशा उसके और उसके कटे हुए केशों के बीच प्रवाहित रहता है। रोगों को ठीक करने के लिए यह अनिवार्य नहीं है कि एक उपचारक संपूर्णतः शुद्ध हो, हालांकि यह श्रेयस्कर है। यूरोप और अन्य जगहों पर ऐसे कई लोग हैं जो शुद्ध नहीं है। यदि उपचार संपूर्ण दयाभाव से और बिना किसी सुप्त स्वार्थ भाव के साथ किया जाता है, तब वह परोपकारी व्यक्ति एक प्रवाह स्थापित करता है जो मैटर की छठी अवस्था के माध्यम से सूक्ष्म कंपन की तरह प्रवाहित होता है, और वह उन्हें महसूस होता है जिन्हें आपने मदद के लिए आह्वान किया था। वह व्यक्ति उस समय किसी अन्य कार्य में मग्न न हो जिससे कि वह बाहरी प्रभाव का अवरोध करने के लिए मजबूर हो जाए। किसी भी सिद्ध पुरुष के बालों का गुच्छा होना निश्चित ही लाभकारी है, लेकिन एक उपचारक के इच्छा शक्ति की तीव्रता और उसके उद्देश्य में शुद्धता के स्तर पर ही उन केशों की खरी सहायता की मात्रा होगी। तालिस्मान और इसका बुद्धि तत्व सह संवेदना में है। मैं आपका ध्यान कुछ ऐसी बातों की ओर आकर्षित करना चाहूंगा जो वास्तव में अदीक्षित साधकों की समझ से भी परे है, जितना कि वे आम जनता को गुमराह करने वाली है। थैंक यू। नमस्ते।
Thank you, Meenakshi ji, for this most accurate translation. And now the forum is open for any discussion and questions from our participants. Anything somebody would like to share about the content which we have covered today, or any questions on it?
नमस्कार सर।
Yes, Namaste Sharma ji, बताइए.
Here this Kamrupa is called fifth state. How this is fifth state? I could not follow. That's right.
The fifth state, Kamarupa is fifth state. What are the earlier four states? That you must know. Or he wanted to inform about the sixth, he advised crooks to study the matter. And the
Kamarupa of matter. Kamarupa of matter.
Yes, Kamarupa of matter. He asked to study that Kamarupa of matter, which works for this mesmerism and all this. And this is the sixth stage actually. Kamarupa matter must be directed to this sixth stage. What is this sixth stage? What Sharma is asked. Fifth stage. Fifth stage is the Kama Manasa. Our intellect must go with this deeper into oneself through all these states of matter. What are the states of matter? Prithvi, Aap, Tej, Vayu, Akash. These are the states. Up to Akash means ether. So it is the fifth state, Akash. And there we can use our Kamarupa, thoughts, desire, everything in this ether, which is the medium. And then what is that sixth stage which affects this mesmerism? And that is sixth stage of matter. It's all, these are the stages of matter. Sixth stage of matter is, nowadays it is discovered by the scientists as the plasma. So these mesmeric currents, when they pass through this plasma to that plasma, then there will be definitely effect to cure that disease. So it is has got a deeper meaning of this Kama Rupa, not what we have studied in the desire mind, etc., etc. This concerned with the Kama Rupa of matter. And you must study that one. That indication is given for the scientists. Go deeper and deeper and the states of the matter.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome, welcome.
Shinde ji.
Harshvardhan ji.
Yes. Actually, time is not there, but I must. One remark is there with two great ones. One is the Bacon. That is Francis Bacon. Francis Bacon and Aristotle. These are two people who are referred here by the master. And actually scientist. And he propagated the modern science, that we can say, because during this time from 1561 to...
It is not Francis Bacon. You can become a Bacon.
Yeah.
And you can become a Aristotle. In that matter, if you try, you will reach to that state.
Two names are referred here. Bacon.
Bacon.
It is Bacon. That is Francis. It is Francis Bacon. That is scientist, a modern scientist.
Yeah.
And Aristotle. That is that we know the philosopher. Yes, the great philosopher of the ancient time. So this particular they denote two.
Harshvardhan, I think Bacon also means a light bearer. And Aristotle is that one who is at the top of the intellect.
The Greek philosopher Aristotle. Yes, Aristotle. That trio is there. Trio. Pluto, yes, Aristotle. Yes.
There are two Bacons. One is Roger Bacon, another is Francis Bacon. Here the point is that Bacon or Aristotle in knowledge still not even make his current felt a feather's weight to us if his power is confined to Manas. That is more.
That is what it means. Correct. You are Pradeep.
That is more important. Not that Bacon, Aristotle in knowledge, but if their knowledge is confined to the Manas, then there is no question of feathers fate with us. Yes, that is important.
That is correct. I do agree, but why these two people are referred? One is for the knowledge of the world that is having the progress in life, that is the scientific approach. And second is the philosophic with knowledge, that is the philosophical approach. Now the word is candidate is used. The word candidate is used, not the member. Word member is not used. The word candidate is used. So again, it goes with the esoteric knowledge of theosophical societies. Is it so?
Yes, you are right, Harshvardhan. Harshvardhan, you can take it meaning of scientific discovery and philosophical discovery. Both are essential.
Right.
Yeah, both are essential. So you can become a Bacon and Aristotle both. But still, you have to use your own will. That is what Master wants to suggest.
So in the ancient, somewhat time of the earlier 18th century, earlier than that, the practice of having the locket to mesmerize the people, that was used.
Yeah.
And in the late history of England, we have found many cases of this kind of experiments, but they were false. So here, AP Senate is, I think, advised here whether to use it or not. So in this way, here it may be the warning from the master. Is it so?
Yeah. It is definitely, they have given the, it is memorandum. This letter itself is the memorandum to AP Senate. And
Memorandum.
in
Yes,
this,
yes.
he says, yes, that locket has got that energy.
Energy,
No
right.
doubt that energy has got, but that is not enough. You must use your will,
Not
then
enough.
only that energy will be radiated. That is
Okay.
what he wants
So
to
this,
suggest.
yes, this is what we have to understand from this today's lecture, and really very comprehensive and very. We can have the more research work regarding this, because
Yeah.
so many other more references are given, but you have explained very well. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Harshvardhan ji. Any more questions?
What I mean to say, it is this letter is very, very important, and it requires not one study or one. You have to ponder over and think deeply.
Right.
What is the essence of? I'm just referring one point before the Bacon Aristotle knowledge, not it. Once, and it is even still it is very valid to us. Once separated from the common influence of the society. What is the common influence of the society? As a society, जैसा like a Buddhang Saranang Gacchami, Dharmang Sanghang Saranang Gacchami. The society is our Sangha. So society first object is universal brotherhood without sex, all these things first object. So here Mahatma clearly given an instruction. If you are separated from the common influence of a society, then nothing draws us to any outsider save his evolving spirituality. So what here
No,
Mahatma
Pradeep,
given to us.
it refers to the our selfish rotting physically from diseases engendered by the animal gratification, that demons, that behind him black memory, wasted chances, hellish success, all that refers from the back slide what he explains how it is prejudice. All this material, once you separated from all this, once you are becoming free from all this, then it becomes the fit one. That is what they want to suggest.
Okay.
Sir, I think what Pradeep ji is telling, that is right. Once separated from the society, that is separated from the Theosophical Society. So
Yes.
any outsider, he will come under the master's influence only by his spirituality.
If he increase his spirituality, then he can get the attraction. There are a number of instances when Brother C.W. Lidwitter mentioned that.
Not that meaning. I don't.
No, sir. My
It is
point
because
he is not only confined to the Theosophical Society. They are the great teachers. They are also looking outside the members also. Those who develop among themselves evolving spirituality, so they can be attracted. So those not even members of Theosophical Society, if they develop the spirituality within themselves, so they will get attraction from the Mahatma. So that is the reason this point is very vital. If we are separated from the society, so even there are many people, Radhaji once mentioned, there are many theosophists who are outside the Theosophical Society. So in that way, if I am not in the Theosophical Society, but I am spiritually evolving, so naturally you will get attraction. So
yes,
here
that is one perspective. Yes, that is one perspective. But society don't mean it only Theosophical Society. It is the human society. Also, it becomes materiality. All this it connects with that background. Once you are separated from the materiality, material attachment, then the spirituality begins. That also another perspective or deeper perspective, or we can say esoteric perspective. Master cannot say once you separate from the Theosophical Society, because Theosophical Society is founded by them. Society here, society's conditionings. Once you are free from the society's conditioning, then there is the flow of spiritual powers. That also one perspective we can look into. Yours is correct. That is also true. There are many members who are outside the Theosophical Society who are evolved, more evolved, and they are free from all materialistic aspect. That meaning also you can take, no problem. So many perspectives are there to understand these letters. Thank you for adding that one also.
Yes. Yes. Lastly, 1 minute, not 1 minute, 10 seconds only. Shindeji, this is really the kind of research work. And what we have, it was remarked by one, I think, N.C. Ram. He wrote at one place. It will also throw upon the new latest modern time. That was the main focus, and I think he referred to with the development of the commercialism, development of the atomic theories and atomic empowerment and everything. So that was what he just remarked in during the 40s and 50s. So I think that was the also main crux of this particular understanding of the latest. I think that because that has been very nicely illustrated, because the world has come to that verge of the self-destruction with the all weapons of the modern technology. So that may be also a kind of special attention maybe given by the masters.
This is what we are doing, reading between the lines, trying to understand more and more the deeper meanings. Good.
Right.
It's nice
Right,
to
right.
have that kind
Yes.
of exercise for our intellectual capacity.
Yes. Thank you, sir.
Right. Thank you all for your inputs on this letter. And as Shindeji has rightly said, that there are many perspectives. So it is for us to go read it again, understand it in between the lines, and read it multiple times. So thank you all for your time and participation. Thank you, sir. And we will
Thank you, Vibhaji.
we'll close this meeting with the closing prayer. Pradeepji, if can we close the meeting now? Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Sarvesham Swastirabhavatu Sarvesham Shantirabhavatu Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu Lokah Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschit Dukha Bhag Bhave. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you all for joining.
Yes, thank you for everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vibhaji. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Vibhaji.
Thank you.
Shindeji, bye.
Thank you. Thank you.